Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Eric the Old Jarhead here. 14 years ago, in fact just over 14 years ago, I put in my first off-grid power system. That was a 12 volt system using 6 volt golf cart batteries. And I wanted to talk today about how things have changed in that 14 years. And well, what I would do today if I were to do it all over again now versus then. Everything's changed. First of all, I don't see anybody putting in PWM controllers anymore. Not that they don't have a place. I mean, I think in small systems, PWM charge controllers, especially if they're built and made for LiFePO4 batteries, may still have a place. They certainly worked and they had their advantages. There were certain efficiencies that they were, well, frankly, a little bit better at. But maximum power point tracking charge controllers, the MPPTs, those are, in my opinion, well, they just far outweigh the advantages of PWM. MPPT is the way to go. And while we had those MPPT charge controllers 14 years ago, today you can pick up one pretty darn cheap. I have a Bateria that I want to say runs about $160 that I've been playing with from Bateria. Now, they did sponsor that charge controller to me, and I did a video on it for them. That's it. They didn't pay me. They just gave it to me. It's like a gift. Here, you have it. You review it. But I'm still playing with that thing. And I got to be honest with you. It's doing the job. It's several months now in use. I like the fact that it has Bluetooth. And so that's the first thing. When I put my system in, there were remotes that you could wire up to pieces of equipment. But nobody had any Bluetooth that I was aware of. And I paid over $500 for my second charge controller sitting up here on the wall behind me, the Morningstar. You could get a remote for it, but at $500 for that charge controller, I wasn't going to spend another $100, $150 on a charge on a remote. Now you just get them with Bluetooth. How about batteries? I put in golf cart batteries. You have to put in some kind of battery monitor system if you actually want to know what your batteries are doing. So I bought a Bogart Engineering trimetric battery monitor. Today, batteries are coming with Bluetooth. You could just look at them on your phone. You don't really need those battery monitors, though I personally like them. And then there's LiFePO4. I put in 6 volt golf cart batteries because they were cost effective. I think I paid $89 a battery. You couldn't touch them. And yes, there were Trojan L16s and things like that out there, about 3 or 4 times the cost or more. For the longevity of a golf cart battery versus one of those more expensive batteries, the golf cart batteries made more sense from a price point perspective. But today, you could just get LiFePO4s. And LiFePO4s, you could use the whole battery, right? Like you could buy a 100 amp hour LiFePO4 battery. Nowadays, I think the Golden Mates are probably running about $170, and that's a good battery. And you could get one of those and use all 100 amp hours of it versus a golf cart battery that's rated at 220 amp hours, and you really shouldn't even use 50% of that. In fact, you should use about a quarter of it. So instead of 110, you really should use about 55 amp hours. And that's a 6 volt battery. So you'd have to get 2 of those just to get 55 amp hours at 12 volts, or 4 of them just to get 55 amp hours at 24 volts. But I can get 100 amp hours at 24 volts for about the same price and use all of it and do it over and over and over again. Not 200 or 300 times, but 4,000 or 5,000 times. You can't beat the cost of LiFePO4 batteries. So how have things changed? Holy mackerel. I bought 3 205 watt solar panels. They were polycrystalline panels. Just the other day, I was doing some research for another video, and I found panels that were 705 watts, and actually they had an 800 and I want to say 50 watt solar panel. They were like 8 feet tall by 4 feet wide, but I could get one solar panel, not 3, that would have adequate power plus 25% more power than I already had, and probably for a better price, because back then, if you could get them at $1 a watt, you were looking pretty good. Now I've seen them at 37 cents a watt or less. So solar panels, super cheap, super big. And no, I would not buy 100 watt panels. I've said that countless times. I'd get that 800 watt panel and put one of them in if I didn't need any more power. And truthfully, when I put my 615 watt solar array in, it wasn't that I didn't need more power. It's that I couldn't afford more power. Well, today, you could get 800, 900 watts, 1,000 watts for, heck, probably a better price than what I paid then. And LifePo 4 batteries, probably with Bluetooth monitors on them, and a charge controller at a third of the cost with a Bluetooth app on top of it. And we haven't even gotten into anything else. So 14 years, we have gone from not the dark ages, but maybe the industrial age of solar power off-grid systems to the digital age. And I would say today we're really kind of in that, maybe the budding digital age of solar power. So you got bifacial panels, LifePo 4 batteries, MPPT charge controllers with Bluetooth apps on them that are a third of the cost. Now will that bateria last 15 years? Well, I don't know if it'll last, but we'll find out. But nonetheless, I can still buy, heck, Victrons aren't that expensive. I know a lot of guys complain about pricing on Victrons, but guys, I have an Outback charge controller. I want to say, I said in a previous video it was over $500. I actually want to say it might have been as high as like $695 or $650, something like that. It's an 80 amp, 150 volt charge controller. Outback was a really good name in those days too. They don't even have LifePo 4 settings in them. And there were lithium batteries in those days, but they were so expensive, nobody was using it. So from a then and now perspective, first of all, was solar power worth it? Absolutely, 100%. Love having my own do-it-yourself power. However, I'm going to tell you right now, you are in the dawn of the digital age of solar off-grid power system. You can get bifacial panels at 37 cents a watt. Now those are brand new under warranty panels. You can buy charge controllers at a third of the cost that I was spending on them. And would I do that today? You bet your life I would. Because if I could buy a $160 MPPT charge controller that would do the job today, I would if I couldn't afford $500 or $600, because you know what? If I can get 2 or 3 years out of it, number one, things might change anyway, and number two, maybe I could afford that more expensive panel down the road. The only thing I'm not sure I would do is the modern non-low frequency inverters. There are some good inverters out there, no doubt, and it's the only area I haven't really played yet. I have low frequency inverters that honestly, they just go and go and go and go and go, and they've got built-in chargers. And even when I thought I was having a problem with one recently, I actually wasn't. It was working. I was just misreading something, probably because I was spending too much time worrying about, pain in my hand or my back or something, and not paying attention to what I should have been paying attention to. The actual amps, and I could have brought my amp meter out, my amp clamp, and checked to see how many amps I'm actually seeing on each battery, and I need to do that in the future, but I didn't. So low frequency inverters, inverter chargers, you can't go wrong with those. Now those are expensive, but if you were to buy a modern new inverter that doesn't have a charger, you're still going to have to buy a charger. So if you've got a modern inverter charger that's, say, under $500, that's actually worth having, well, do me a favor, drop it down in the comments below and let me check it out, because I'm kind of interested in seeing what's out there. I've actually had some companies come to me and offer me inverters, and I've turned them all down. Part of it is because I don't know those companies, and if I can't actually use a product enough to decide if it's really worth having, I don't want to try to do a review on it. So I know that there's lots of companies out there that are like, hey, try this, hey, try that. First of all, I run a 24-volt system. Running a 24-volt system means I need a 24-volt inverter, and if I replace my inverter, then I've got to install my charger, which I do happen to have one. I can do that. But it means I got to do things differently. It also means I have to run a dedicated circuit from the generator with its own breaker that's separate of the inverter power to run that charger, so that it only runs when the generator's running. And so it induces a little more complexity there. But in any case, as far as off-grid power systems go, or solar power systems go, the advancements in technology has really gone, well, it's just gone to the moon over the last 14 years. It's crazy what I'm seeing out there today, and I anticipate things to continue in this direction. Well, folks, I will say that over the last 14 years, solar power systems, especially for the off-grid community, has really, truly advanced and gone in a great direction, a direction you would expect in a free market like ours, where prices are coming down, things are getting more affordable. And if I were to build my system today, I'd be putting in bifacial panels. I would definitely look at some of the less expensive charge controllers because, frankly, so far, that bateria seems to be working well. And I could always replace them, but I'd probably also be looking very seriously at companies like Victron. I would be putting in LiFePO4 batteries, and I would probably put in heated LiFePO4s with Bluetooth. And they would be a little more expensive, but quite frankly, they're going to last me forever, so I would probably go that route. And I'd probably take a look at some of the more modern inverters to see what they're doing. And I hope you'll drop some comments down below and let me know what you're running today so I can kind of get an idea. Because I'm still running those big low frequency inverters. I love them. They'll probably run another 20 years without batting an eye. But it might be interesting to try out something new. But I do love all the Bluetooth technology because, frankly, the idea of having to run wires for remotes, I'm looking at that today going, that's nonsense. It's time to move past all of that. In any case, folks, that's all I've got for you today. I appreciate you watching. I'll drop another video right here for you to check out. Y'all have a great day. The old Jarhead out.